they're working on displaying the presentation. Today we're talking about microbiota and cancer risk. Microbiota, this is a topic for the future, more or less towards personalized medicine. It's an interesting topic, and not just for the field of cancer, but for other chronic diseases as well. So let's go through just headlines of what we do know about this subject. There are trillions of commensal bacteria in the mammalian gut, and that makes it probably one of the most advanced communities of commensal bacteria ever. Microbiota are microorganisms found in the gut. They include archaea, bacteria, protists, fungi, viruses, with bacteria being the most abundant. The average human gut microbiome has around 1,000 organisms, the same number as human cells. Unique genome of the microbiota was up to 3,106 genes, significantly more than the human genome. So we're talking about a whole environment here. The microbiota can affect the human health by various methods. They produce key metabolites, they metabolize various nutrients, and they produce toxins that block pathogenic invaders. Oops, sorry about that. The microbiota are subject to change with various things, with dietary habits. Once you change your dietary habits, you change your microbiota as well. Cultural differences, the type we eat and the combination of food, the environment we live in, and many other factors. Besides the different diseases, anything can affect the microbiota, literally anything. Physical and psychological stress, and who does not have that? Age, as you grow older, the environment inside your gut changes. Diet, surgery, medications, radiation, chemicals, they are all shown to affect both the number and the diversity of microbiota. This ecosystem is not only a new platform to explain the pathophysiology of many disorders, but a new target for drug development on the way to personalized medicine, like we mentioned. Diet is the most important modifier of the microbiota in health. So the microbiota can work either to cooperate with the human being, producing healthy body and healthy age, or they can conflict with the person and they cause various diseases. For example, the bacteria associated with a plant-based diet are connected to a lower risk of colon cancer. The short-chain fatty acids that are produced, such as the acetate, propionate, and butyrate, that are produced by the act of the microbiota on the fibers in the gut, they have been shown to have anti-inflammatory effects in colonic tissues via triggering the T regulatory cell system. This is an illustration of what it would look like in case of cooperation, very smooth, very healthy, or in case of conflict. If there is conflict, it reduces the host health, it affects it negatively. It reduces the microbiome diversity, and apparently we do need this diversity to do the healthy benefits or the healthy functions of the microbiota. And it increases the immune activity that sometimes even targets the host organs itself. So this Nobel laureate Eli Michnikov, who died in 1916, said a sentence. It says the majority of diseases begin in the digestive tract, and we're starting to believe him fully right now. When good bacteria are no more able to control the bad bacteria, calling this condition dysbiosis. And this dysbiosis that has been linked to several pathologies, like the inflammatory bowel diseases, the celiac diseases, the obesity pandemic, and various metabolic disorders. And of course, it's logic, because recently we've seen a very high rise in the incidence of all those diseases that we're not used to, and it all correlates very nicely with the lifestyle that we're adapting the Western style life, the high fat, the less vegetables, the less fiber, the less activity. And of course, the list of diseases that are affected by this dysbiosis continues to grow. The scientific community has now recognized the importance of maintaining a balanced gut microbiota to maintain a healthy status. Unhealthy dietary habits negatively impact gut microbiota composition and could act as a factor triggering diseases which affect metabolic pathways. High fat diets, for example, polyunsaturated fatty acids and meat were associated with an increased risk of Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. So what is the effect of diet on the microbiota? In addition to inflammation shift, gut microbiota structure is also associated with colorectal cancer. So it's not just an inflammatory process, but it can go up as bad as the colorectal cancer. Diets with copious meat, red meat, as in the Western style life that we're very elegantly adapting right now in our region, promotes an overgrowth of sulfate-reducing bacteria, which is a common colonic inhabitants. But of course, once there is overgrowth, there are bad effects. Sulfate-reducing bacteria are able to produce genotoxic substances as acid sulfide. Conversely, on the other spectrum of the diet, to the red meat influence, there is the fiber-rich diet, and this increases the production of short-chain fatty acids, such as butyrate, which is beneficial for human colonocytes and has anti-tumor properties. So if our diet is not rich in fiber, we're compromising our defense mechanisms, and we're compromising those anti-tumor properties of our microbiota. The Mediterranean diet is a very good representative of an example of a healthy diet that you can adapt to improve your composition of microbiota and hence your health. This is an assortment of habitual eating behaviors followed by people in the countries adjacent to the Mediterranean Sea, which is our region. It adds significant protection from chronic degenerative diseases. It has been provided by observing the Mediterranean diet. So a lot of evidence, the term Mediterranean diet comes up whenever you talk about cardiovascular risk, obesity, inflammatory bowel diseases, and cancer. So what about cancer and microbiota? The relationship between cancer and microbiomes is complex. Although cancer is generally considered to be a disease of host genetics and environmental factors, microorganisms are implicated in around 20% of human malignancies. The microbes present at the mucosal sites can become part of the tumor microenvironment, and intratumoral microbes can affect cancer growth and spread in many ways. The gut microbiota also functions in detoxification of dietary components, reducing inflammation and maintaining a balance in host cell growth and proliferation. Particularly, the human gut microbiome is important and well illustrated in various studies in relation to the risk for colorectal cancers. The role for this gut microbiota in colorectal cancer in human is highly suspected. There was this very nice study that was published in Cancer Prevention Research titled "The Microbiome Provides a Powerful Source of Biomarkers for Identifying Individuals Harboring Adenomas and Carcinomas." Approximately 70% of colorectal cancer cases develop spontaneously and are of unknown etiology. Factors associated with increased risk of colorectal cancer include diet, alcohol, and chronic inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract. In human studies, patients with colorectal cancer have an abnormal gut microbiome structure when compared with healthy patients. So comparing the microbiome of healthy individuals that are the controls and those persons with adenomas, the early stages of development of colorectal cancers, and patients with colorectal carcinomas, so that these are the three categories. The microbiome data would significantly improve the ability to distinguish among the 3 types of individuals, so they are important in early diagnosis of colorectal cancers. Diet has an immediate impact on microbiota composition, like we mentioned. A diet-based approach to modulate the microbiota should consider the effect of long-term diets. So even though going on a healthy diet for a short period of time changes the microbiome, however, the long-term diets are necessary to relocate the enterotypes, to establish new families of bacteria that are healthy. You need long-term diets. It's not enough to go on a short-term diet. So more or less, like we always advocate in our talks, the lifestyle modification to adapt a new style of diet. Diet is an easily modifiable factor, or at least that's what we keep telling each other in talks. How apparently it's not that easy, because we have been saying the same things over and over for years. And apparently it's not that easy. However, had it been easy, it would have been a very attractive therapeutic approach to modulate the gut microbiota. In randomized, clinically controlled dietetic interventions to shape the gut microbiota of humans have been described. Results indicate that energy-restricted foods rich in fiber and vegetables, this is the hallmark of the definition of the healthy diet, guarantee microbial changes in the gut and present health advantages. An example of the energy-restricted foods rich in fiber and vegetables is the Mediterranean diet, because even though some people misunderstand it as just allowing a lot of nuts and oils, and moderation is the key, and it has to be coupled with physical activity and good hydration. Specific dietetic treatments alone or in addition to combinations of probiotic species could represent a potentially interesting tool to improve public health. So apparently the lifestyle modification alone or the diet targets alone are not easy as public health, because whenever you see advertising for maintaining health and physical activity, you also see advertisement for all kinds of snacks and sugary eats and restaurants. And our generation will probably be the last generation that would recognize a Mediterranean diet. But all the youngsters, our kids included, they are very meat-oriented, away from fibers and vegetables and salads. So we do need help, and the field of probiotic offers a significant addition to lifestyle alone in case of interest of public health. Thank you very much.